All right, welcome to Hamptons Chatter. We're here with Melissa COHN from William Ravis Mortgage and Jameson McWilliams, who's a partner at the Adam Miller Group law firm here in the Hamptons. We're talking Hamptons real estate now. So, ladies, I'll go to you first, Jameson. How was the summer so far?
The summer has been pretty good. And I think that probably means something different to an attorney. It's been a little bit quiet the last few weeks, and so I consider that good. We can catch our breath.
Right.
We were really, really busy leading up to pre-Memorial Day and even then pre-4th of July. People that were trying to get closed and get in to their houses were relentless in that time frame.
No doubt. No.
Yes, and then we had this week after 4th of July where, like, the phone rang 3 times collectively.
But that was a holiday week. Holiday weeks are
Yeah,
traditional.
but we were just so happy, and we could, like I said, catch our breaths a little bit, and now it is starting to tick up already, but a little differently. It's more, people that maybe already own a home, they're either upgrading or
Right.
trading up, and their time frame is not so tight.
Yes. Well, because people want to be in by the beginning of the summer. So,
Yes.
yes. And Melissa, how about for you?
It's been an interesting summer. I agree that it's sort of gone in fits and starts. And one week you think, oh my gosh, this market's on fire. And then next week you wonder where they all went. But I think that has a lot to do with the seasonality, like being the middle of summer, the volatility in the rate markets and everything that's going on in the war in Iran. So I'm actually pleasantly surprised by how many people are still buying with everything that's going on in the world.
Volatility. What do you mean?
Been following the price of oil lately. It's actually a good.
So where are rates currently now?
A
Where have they
conventional.
been in the past? Let's do a round number
Let's
since we don't know
start
each
off.
other.
The start of the year 2026, rates were coming down. By the end of February, 30-year fixed rate was like 5.75.
Right.
Then we bombed Iran, and then bond yields have gone up continuously. Mortgage rates are probably 0.75% higher today than they were in February. There was good news that supposedly a deal for the Strait of Hormuz is going to be happening, and bond yields are rallying. Oil prices are coming down, and mortgage rates will hopefully come down. So as we gear up to a fall market, that we're going to be back in business.
Yeah. The Hamptons, we have a fall market. We have a spring market, early summer, then towards the end of the summer. Correct me if I'm wrong. It gets pretty quiet. Like the last few weeks, people are getting their kids back to school. They're going to the Hampton Classic. They're vacationing. They're lying low. It gets really quiet. And then we have the fall market. And it usually starts like right after the Jewish holidays, right? For you guys as well?
And the good news is that they're early this year.
Oh, the Jewish holidays are early this year? Oh, thank you, Melissa COHN. And then you go into the fall season. What's for you guys as attorneys? Do people want to close before the end of the year?
Yes. Yes. Close before the end of the year. We've had some, I'm trying to think back to the sort of this time last year, getting in even the Jewish holidays or their like Columbus Day weekend.
Right.
Once people realize that it's pretty beautiful out here in the fall. But I think it's always a decision to the carrying costs and really what their goals are.
Right.
Because we also see sort of more towards late fall into the winter, then people trying to avoid carrying costs through the winter. So now all of a sudden, like it was like on or about 30-day closing. Now they're like, well, could you maybe just put it, if we're still in the contract phase, could you try for 60, knowing that they can get 90? And
Right.
so I don't know. I think, and we also do land use in our office, which adds a whole other component to it because,
Yeah.
that timeline, those timelines, and when you finally get on an agenda and you go to a meeting, they don't really align with anyone's, thought process of getting into a home. So we're dealing with two different tracks.
I do want to talk land use more in a minute, but I want to ask Melissa real quickly. Mortgage contingencies, are a lot of your clients, are they getting mortgage contingencies in their contracts?
I'm actually seeing more sellers that are being tough about the mortgage contingencies, but buyers are pushing for them. And when they get them, the sellers want them to be a shorter time period. So I've seen more 15, 21-day, not the traditional 30 or 45-day mortgage contingencies.
I always thought 30 days was the minimum for contingency.
It's interesting because I work in different markets and in different places. For example, in Florida, I deal with 15-day mortgage contingency
Wow.
all
15 days.
the time.
Wow.
But, as if you have a motivated seller who wants to get closed and is insisting upon a 30-day closing, then you have to work quickly. But most banks today, you can get a full commitment letter in, call it 2.5 to 3 weeks. Okay.
Well, that's pretty cool. So, Jameson, going back to land usage it's kind of like this moving target out here. I mean, as an attorney, you need to stay on your game, and Jameson stays on her game. So, you do. So, I mean, are people really buying land now like they used to?
Well, there's not, unfortunately, pure, untouched, native vegetated land in that sense. There's not really that much left. I'm sure you know better, what the inventory is like. But there's two things that are sort of interesting and kind of coming up now. We're seeing more often for sellers, or if we're on the buy side, that land use can come up. It can come up just you're buying a house that's already fully developed,
Right.
and you just have you want to tear it down, let's say. But there were
We're at a SDU, secondary dwelling unit.
That's true. But really, there's been the people that bought during COVID that waived every contingency, waived inspections, sight unseen, didn't require or request updated COs. Everything was moving so quickly, nobody did any of that.
Right.
I have a few sellers that we represented on the sale, and we're saying like bare minimum. Now, the town of East Hampton has put a stay on the requirement of the updated CO.
Thank God for that.
Thank God for that. It's been a blessing. But you still, bare minimum, let's say the contract says you have to deliver a valid and subsisting CO covering the existing improvements on the property. You bought during COVID. You're now realizing I actually have no idea what's legal.
Oh, I'm experiencing that. I'm
yeah.
experiencing that now with sellers. They bought their house during COVID, and I looked at one house. I didn't get the listing, thank God, but they have a ceiling that there's no way in the book is legal. And they're saying, this is a bedroom and living space. I'm like, the ceiling height is not legal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you have an updated CO? They're like, no, we bought during COVID. I'm like,
Yes. Or even worse, they say, I don't know. Like, where's CO? Right. So we're trying to legalize things, undo things, at least get to an understanding of what is legal. If we're on the purchase side, if you're saying we want to do a complete gut rent and we want to tear this down, whatever, we're explaining that most of this doesn't matter, but maybe it does if it's the pool and, those kinds of things. And then there is the, the vacant land is actually probably easier.
Probably easier. But Melissa, can people still get mortgages if the CO isn't updated?
As long as there's an existing C of O, the answer is yes.
By the way, certificate of occupancy, we say C of O, just for
That's
those who
correct.
don't know.
But no, banks are not, if there's a valid CO, they're not going to question if there are improvements that were done that are not included in the CO. The only time you'd have an issue is if you had someone put an addition on a house illegally, a porch, a deck, and then this survey shows that doesn't exist. That's the only time you'll find a bank is going to actually catch that. But we come across that. We come across illegal basements all the time.
Yeah.
Basements, people putting in hot tubs on the back, porch, lots of different things. And the answer is there are banks that are going to close no matter what.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, and we actually, the attorney's angle in trying to protect the client and have all of these things very explicitly noted in the contract, especially for the buyer, sometimes does, it can screw them up.
Well, that's true. Anything that's put in the contract, the bank is going to see, they're going to ask questions about. So you have to be very careful.
Yes. So we kind of do this, like we're being recorded. No, we it's all above board.
Be careful.
Sometimes we will do like a letter, that both sides letter, right. It's not to be sketchy. We would never put the client in the position where there's a CO, if the structure's unsafe. But if the seller is saying, I will work to legalize this or I'll repair this and all this stuff, it's like some stuff we don't need the lender to see all of it, because if it's in East Hampton, especially, we will not close this year.
Because of the backlog, yeah.
Because of the backlog. So we want to close and we'll escrow for that. And we just don't want the bank to get
We actually just had a deal that closed last week that went into contract almost 8 months ago.
Holy East Hampton?
East Hampton.
Go figure.
Vegetation issue. And they go to contract in the middle of the winter, and then you can't actually revegetate until spring.
I just had that with a friend of ours. Yeah.
So it's
Yes.
Real quick, land usage though. Can you finance land, Melissa?
absolutely.
All right, because some people say there's no way to finance
You
land.
can actually finance land. There are lenders that will finance land and lenders that will finance the construction. But to your point, there's not a lot of land. So I'm finding more people are buying homes and tearing them down or doing a gut reno on them instead.
This one's actually for you. I'm just. Do people actually buy houses and tear them down before they close to avoid the? Are people doing that, Jameson? I remember a few years ago, a lot of these little shacks, they would buy them and then tear them down. The current owner would tear it down. So when the new purchaser bought it, they did not have to pay the 1% mansion tax.
Oh, okay.
That was not a trick question, as it is.
No.
No.
You know, where my mind went initially was when I worked for the town of East Hampton.
Right.
And those are different deals, really.
Right.
If there were acquisitions with CPF funds,
Yeah.
those a lot were structured that way, which is was infuriating sometimes because people were tearing down perfectly good structures and we're
Right.
like, we have a housing crisis, but we want to buy this and we're using it for vacant land and
Right.
that sort of thing. But since I've been at Adam's office, I don't think I've seen any like that for that particular reason, unless that was an
Right.
additional motivation. I have seen where sellers with their broker realize it's
Are you throwing a broker under the bus?
no, I'm saying that you realize that it's more valuable probably. Like you're buying it for the land.
You're buying it for the land in it.
So tear the house down and then, buyers will have a new vision because they don't want to see the shack that's falling down.
Those save so much on closing costs because if you buy something to tear it down, you're only paying closing costs on that property. And then if you're going to put another 3, 4, or 5 million into it, you're not paying the Peconic land transfer tax on that. You're not paying mansion tax on that.
All right, real quick before we wrap up, what do you see for the fall, Melissa?
Looking forward for lower rates and a more robust marketplace.
Jameson, what do you think about the fall?
Yeah, I think our office, we're kind of ramping up. We have some really interesting kind of and big deals. I was looking, we have this on our social media where we track, the closings and the transactions.
I was on that last month.
You were, yeah.
I was.
And so numerically, it tracks what we've said. They've kind of gone down, and I expect that they're going to go up. But for me personally, we have a ton of land use stuff. Some really we're doing this watermill project, the blockbuster.
Yes.
I'm doing that we did the closing, but I'm get my hands on the land use stuff. I love the owners, and so I love this project.
It's great.
And doing some really exciting kind of pre-planning research stuff now. So some big stuff.
I'll talk to you when we're done and get the real details on what's going to happen there. I'm sure you can't tell us now, but
no. Well, before I came here, I told you I was at town hall. I was dropping off our big stack of an application to the planning department.
Is it going to become a water park?
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Splish, splash, please.
East, yeah. No, but it's so that will all be public. We're probably going to have a meeting, and we're probably going to have to go in front of the board. But right now it's mostly beautiful, landscaping, lighting, some exterior changes. But you're gonna love it, and
cool.
Yeah. So
Good to know.
I'm excited about that. Yeah.
All right, Melissa COHN, William Ravis Mortgage, Jameson McWilliams from Adam Miller Group, partner at the Adam Miller Group. You guys are both available if people search for you online, correct?
Yeah.
There we go. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Happy fall.
Yeah.
I think.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Don't say it.